Hey guys, TC here. Looks like the world's on fire, guys. And it's because of globalism. Globalism is the cause of all, especially the Anglosphere, but it's more than just that though, because Thailand's in flames right now. Australia is rioting. Britain's about to pop off with full-blown civil war. Members of the AFD are being assassinated over in Germany. And see, this is things we need to talk about. This is what's really important in the world right now. When they tell you, hey, you want to make a change in the system, you have to go and use the practices of the system. In this regard, it's voting. The problem is they're on track to make an effective change, say in Germany, but the leftoids out there aren't going to allow it to happen, so they start killing off politicians. About 5 AFD members have been assassinated so far. They claim they're accidents, but that's a statistical impossibility. They're being killed off. And if you can't affect the change through the process, that only leaves one option. Because change is coming whether you like it or not. Globalism is a failure. We are returning to the common sense narrative of nationalism because it doesn't make any sense whatsoever for a citizen of one country and you got to take it on the chin because of some asshole on the other side of the planet that you're never even going to go visit their country. You got to worry about their well-being. Doesn't make any sense. Or you just throw open your doors to every sad sack of shit to come waltzing across it because they had it hard in their place. Well, they had it hard in their place because they have a country filled with people just like them. They're from failed civilizations. And bringing in survivors of a failed civilization is not going to enrich your culture. It's just going to drag you down and you will become the next failed state. You understand what I'm saying? It may be kind of harsh, but it's the truth. It's the damn truth. And not all cultures are compatible. I'm sorry. Mohammedans are not compatible with Western civilization. In fact, we've been at odds for over 1,000 years, going back and forth. You know, some people are just not civilized enough to live in Western societies. They have backwards, barbaric thinking on women, human rights, how family should work, how government should work, how religion should work. It's not compatible. As a matter of fact, it's at odds with Western thinking and values. And that includes, you know, our foundation in Christian ideals and philosophy. And this is coming from somebody that's an agnostic, right? But Western society, I can admit that it's great as it is. It survived barbarism and savagery because of Christians' ideals and principles. And they built the best society this planet has ever seen. The most tolerant, the most technologically advanced, the most educated, you name it. Industrious, inventive, bright. That's because of Christian teachings. Now, I know I don't necessarily agree with all of it because, again, I am agnostic, right? So, but it doesn't mean I cannot see the benefit that Christian philosophy has had upon the continent of Europe and it's spread out to the planet. Because you look at any other driving force of civilization, and religion is a big one, you look at these other religions and they're just flat out inferior. They're inferior. I'm sorry. There's no other way to, there is no nice way to put it. There's no nice way to put it. I'm sorry. And it is what it is. for all the faults that Christianity has, at least Christ was not a pedo prophet. Right? He's not given the business of marrying little kids. I'm just saying that happened. And the reason, and that happened with their prophet, and I'm talking about Muhammad, it's not frowned upon in the Mohammedan culture to sexually assault little kids or little girls. It's just not. That's why the rape gangs are so prevalent over in the UK right now. At least with our illegals here in the United States, they're coming primarily from Christian countries. Right? So they're tolerable as far as that goes. There is a cultural bond with that. Over in Europe, the morons opened their gates. You realize why the Dark Ages are the Dark Ages? Because it was I believe it was the second siege of Constantinople, and the Muslims were coming over, and the rats they brought over had the bubonic plague, and that devastated Europe, where 1 in 3 people died, and civilization collapsed for a while, and that's why it was called the Dark Ages. And then enough Mohammedans moved into Europe that they further repressed with the Sharia laws and all the other bullshit they bring along with them. And it took about 1,000 years to get rid of the fuckers back to the Middle East or in North Africa. I mean, that's why the Spanish primarily had the Spanish Inquisition. It wasn't just going after other sects of Christianity. It's because they had an 800-year rule of Mohammedans from North Africa that invaded the Iberian Peninsula, and they had to force them out, and they had to get rid of the sympathizers with the old governments. That's why they had the Spanish Inquisition. But we didn't have the Renaissance until after the Muslims were driven out of Europe. It's history, guys. You can go look it up yourself. So that getting rid of the stifling force that was retarding civilization and society from progressing further, getting rid of that factor allowed Europe to thrive. And they did. And for some reason, the globalists have convinced people of a certain ilk that it doesn't matter where you're from. We're all just little economic units of value that can be plugged and played and interchangeable at will. And where you come from doesn't matter. What you believe in doesn't matter. Nothing matters. You're just another warm body. You're a human. We're all part of one race, the human race. And everything be fine. Well, it turns out that's hogwash. And always has been hogwash. I've been telling you it's hogwash for a long time. Other people are just finally coming around to to realize how much bullshit that really was. We're not. Where you come from matters. Where you grew up matters. Your culture matters. And yes, we do have a culture here in the United States. It's just so prevalent that it's like you can't see the forest for the trees, right? Until you actually leave the country or you imbibe in other media from elsewhere to realize how different we are as Americans for our American culture from our Constitution, our Bill of Rights. I mean, just the concept of being able to walk around being armed or having freedom of speech. Ask the Brits how they feel about their freedom of speech right now, not having an actual written constitution, having it enshrined there in plain English. That's an American culture right there. The Brits are about to pop off a full-blown civil war because of this bullshit. But they don't have freedom of speech. They'll get a visit from the police if they offend somebody online with a mean tweet. Can you imagine that happening here in the United States? You get into a flame war with some troll online, and all of a sudden the cops are banging down your door because you said something mean about somebody's mama and where they came from. That's happening in Britain right now. Right? Those are American ideals. So, yes, we absolutely do have a culture here in the United States, and it's a superior culture because we are a culture of tolerance, but there is a case where you become so tolerant that you become suicidal, and that's where we're stepping back from that precipice that the Democrats and the globalists have been trying to take us for quite some time, but it's taken the populists and the nationalists and the common sense people to take a step like, no, we're not going over the cliff for you assholes because you feel that everything has to be race-based politics and I just went over the point. We're all interchangeable economic units. We're not. And I don't care if you got to pay a little bit more for your Levi jeans because now we want to make them here in America again. Right? Because shipping all of our jobs overseas turns out wasn't such a great idea. Turning to a service-based economy was pretty fucking retarded. And you actually have to make stuff here, otherwise that will be held over your head when shit does pop off overseas, a la China and COVID. Remember when Xi Jinping says, we will drown the Americans in a sea of COVID because they weren't shipping us the PPE and the antibiotics and all the other medicine we already paid for. They weren't shipping it to us because they were keeping it for themselves because they were getting pissy with Trump on his first term. So, obviously a stupid idea to have all of our manufacturing being done with a country that's being belligerent to the United States. So, that's just giving your balls for somebody to squeeze that doesn't have your best interest at heart. So, pretty stupid. But some of these people, they will step over your corpse to take the last $5 out of your still warm hands and not care because they don't care about you because they're citizens of the world. They're not citizens of the United States. They're citizens of the world. To them, I mean, just you're not their fellow citizen. You're not your compatriot. You're just some schlub 5 states away that they don't like because they think you're a hillbilly, even though they're nothing special about them whatsoever. It's funny, You get some dude in Jersey driving a busted-ass Camaro with a mullet, spending a week's worth of pay on hair care products to go to the Jersey Shore, but they're going to talk shit about somebody from Florida or Alabama or Mississippi or even Texas. It's like you got no room to talk, dude. You're you're in a worse position than a lot of people that you're making fun of just because they have an accent. Well, guess what? You have an accent too, to us. So, and you sound twice the retard that we sound to you. So, there's that. Anywho, I know I'm rambling a little bit, guys, but I'm just saying that the world's popping off. Serbia's popping off. Thailand's popping off. Australia's popping off. Britain's about to pop off. People are being assassinated in Germany, so that's about to pop off. Mexico's popping off. We're popping off here in the United States. And it's all because of globalism. If everyone just stayed in their damn lane and sought their own interests, then this wouldn't be an issue. Wouldn't be an issue. And it's nice to see that it's all coming back to where it's supposed to be. And that's what I got to say about it right now. You guys take care. Oh, and there's a thing going on in the comments that you can scroll across. Something about giving a bump. It's a free thing. You just... I had to go look it up. You got to hype somebody. It's going to last for a couple of days. Anyway, for little guys like me, it gives you a nice boost. So, if you feel like giving me a hype me up. Because the message has got to get out. And it is spreading. It is spreading. I've been saying it for a while. more talented people than me have been out there saying it. But you know, I got a mouth. I want to say it too. You know, I got something to say about it, and not just for the younger crowd. So give it a hype. Let's see what happens. You guys take care. TC out.